Welcome to the main topic of the episode where I'm going to be power ranking or putting all 32 NFL teams into a tier list. We have at the bottom, we got dumpster fires, it's bad, mid, one dominant side, good team, and Super Bowl caliber. So I think the easiest place to start is to knock out the dumpster fires first. So, with that, the first dumpster fire is going to be the Cleveland Browns. The Browns are not good. There's no getting around it in any way. When you look at their quarterback situation, it's not good. They have the revolving door with Shador, Dylan Gabriel, maybe Deshaun Watson. It's it's horrendous when you look at everything, and then when you look, they just got a new head coach at Todd Mon. Oh my dude! I want to figure out where the heck am I looking. Welcome to the main topic of the episode, where I'm going to be putting all 32 NFL teams into a tier list. The bottom tier, you have dumpster fires, followed by it's bad, mid, one dominant side, good team, and Super Bowl caliber. So I think it is only right to start off by putting the Dolphins in dumpster fire. As it stands right now, they did finish third in the AFC East this season, but as I talked about in the news segment, they released Tyreek Hill and Bradley Chubb. Mike McDaniel got the boot, so they're bringing in a new head coach, new general manager. This season, they ranked in the bottom five on offense in both yards and points. And then on the defensive side, they didn't rank higher than 22 in either points or yards. They ranked 24th in points, 22nd in yards. So they did not have a great season. And then when you look at their roster, they have a gigantic question at the quarterback position with Tua. They are non-committal to him. They don't have much of an other option apart from Quinn Ewers or going out to sign somebody in free agency. And even if they do go out and sign somebody in free agency, the draft class isn't great. Like, or the free agent class isn't great. You have who? Malik Willis is probably the hottest quarterback on the free agent market, and that's not exactly something that I'm dying to be a part of. So we have the Dolphins as the first team in dumpster fire, and it is only right that they are joined by the Raiders. The Raiders have the number one pick in the draft for a reason. They hired Pete Carroll for no reason. So they finished dead last on every metric imaginable on offense. So here is that. On top of that, they there's been issues with Max Crosby and whether or not what he's looking like for them. So they have to face that challenge and figure out what exactly they'll do with that. I think that they'll keep him, but he's the one. I wouldn't even say bright spot. He's their only decent player on defensive side of the ball. Outside of that, they don't have anything on the offense. They have Ashton Genty and they have Brock Bowers. You're gonna draft Fernando Mendoza, but I don't know if he's exactly this superstar quarterback that you're just dying to get. And then when you look at the rest of the offense, it's not exactly some amazing unit. Offensive line is not great. They traded away Jacoby Myers at the trade deadline to the Jaguars, and he played pretty well there, but you don't have any other receiving options there. They're bringing in Clint Kubiak as their head coach. Just won a Super Bowl, did a great job as the OC for the Seahawks. So it'll be interesting to see what happens, but the Raiders will retain their spot in dumpster fire and honestly for the foreseeable future because it is bad. And then after that, I think it's only right to add the Jets along with them in dumpster fire. The Jets ranked 29th, I believe, on offense, both on points and yards, which isn't exactly pretty, but that's to be expected when you have Justin Fields at quarterback and then the owner saying that Justin Fields is horrible. So they switched him out for Tyrod Taylor, and Tyrod Taylor isn't exactly who I want leading my franchise going into 2026, but they don't really have any other options. And then, so that meant that Aaron Glenn somehow kept his job. I talked about that in the Coaching Carousel episode 1. Tune in. You can go rewatch that. But so Aaron Glenn has kept his job somehow. As of right now, they have not franchise tagged Brees Hall, which is a bit concerning. They did a fire sale on defense. They got rid of Sauce Gardner and Quinnen Williams, so they don't have their defensive stars anymore either. And they ranked 31st in points on defense and 25th in yards. So it's not like they had a great defense either. And they did a fire sale on the defensive side of the ball. I don't exactly know what they were hoping to get out of that. So here is to the Jets being honestly not the worst team in, well, yes, the worst team in New York, but it could have been a whole heck of a lot worse for them. They could have been dead last in both, but they were not. Thankfully, the Raiders existed. And then who else? Who else belongs in dumpster fire as of right now? I'm looking at these teams. The Titans still belong in dumpster fire. Yeah. When you look at it, they fired Brian Callahan in week 6 after they drafted Cam Ward with the number 1 overall pick. They ranked 30th in points, 31st in yards on offense. So offense didn't exactly produce. He was trying to throw to the husk of Calvin Ridley, who got hurt during the season. And then you don't have an offensive line. You don't have a running back. You don't have receivers. You don't. You just have Cam Ward and nothing on offense. And then on the defensive side of the ball, you have Jeffrey Simmons and exactly that. You have crickets. Nothing on defensive side of the ball. They finished 28th in points last year, and they hired Robert Shala. Maybe he'll be able to bring in some defensive oomph that he had in San Francisco after losing both Bosa and Warner. He'll be able to revitalize the Titans defense like he did with that 49ers defense. But I don't know how exactly that is going to look. So maybe the Titans can bump up, but I don't know for now. Right now, they stay in dumpster fire. It's been like that ever since they got rid of A.J. Brown and Derrick Henry. So, sadly. Then, yeah, I'm just walking through all the teams that swapped out head coaches right now. We got to go. Arizona Cardinals. They were abysmal to watch. I'm sorry. You had your tight end as your leading receiver. Even though Trey McBride, great tight end, love him, amazing on fantasy. That's not exactly a good thing when you spent, I believe it was what, number 3 or 4 pick on Marvin Harrison Jr., who was supposed to be this prodigy, best wide receiver prospect to come out in years, first ballot Hall of Famer. He hasn't been playing well. You have Kyler Murray, who got benched for Jacoby Brissett because they felt Jacoby Brissett gave him a better chance to win. Keep it in mind, Jacoby Brissett did not win any games at quarterback. So there's that. They fired Jonathan Gannon after he was supposed to be a defensive guru. The defense was 29th in points, 27th in yards. It's not exactly a good environment to have in Arizona. On top of that, you are sitting in the toughest division in the NFL. You play Super Bowl champion Seahawks. You have the 49ers with Kyle Shanahan, who somehow are always good. And then you also have the Rams with the MVP Matthew Stafford, runner-up to Offensive Player of the Year Puka Nacua, and just an insane offense and a very, very good defense. Hint, hint, where the Rams are going to be later in this ranking. So the Cardinals are just, it's bad. There's no other way to get around it. It's bad. And then next team that belongs in, it's bad. I'm looking at it right now. Ooh. That Browns helmet is calling my name right now, but I don't know how I feel about that. The Saints belong in. It's bad. I'm sorry. There's no getting around it. Saints. It's weird because they drafted Tyler Shough. He played well. Wasn't bad for a rookie after the whole Spencer Rattler experience. Kelvin Banks, nice tackle. Cool. Defense wasn't horrible. Middle of the pack in points and then 9th in yards. Nice. The offense, okay. 28th in points, 23rd in yards. Not horrible. But it's just something about the Saints and their roster. They're always trying to compete, so to speak. I get it. It's the NFC South. The Panthers won the division with a losing record, 8-9 record, which isn't exactly inspiring confidence in me or anyone else. So there is that. On top of that, you have an old team. It's an old roster. Demario Davis is old. Cam Jordan is old. Alvin Kamara is old. And then you have Chris Olave. He played well, but he has a lot of concussions, which is kind of concerning. You got rid of Rashid Shaheed to the Seahawks. Again, won the Super Bowl after he left. So it's bad, and the front office has not drafted well. The Rams were part of a trade for a tackle. You don't trade offensive linemen during the season. Like, that doesn't happen. They traded an offensive lineman. Like, that should tell you how bad it is for the Saints. And then who else? It's bad. The Giants. The Giants are a weird team, honestly. They had the coaching turnover. They fired Dayball, brought in John Harbaugh, experienced coach right there. They lost Malik Neighbors for majority of the season with an ACL. They lost Cam Scadaboo with a gruesome ankle injury after what was a pretty good start to the season. Jackson Dart is not a bad quarterback. They just have to make sure he doesn't get CTE and gets checked for a concussion every 3 plays, which is a concern. So there's potential there. The offense this year, they finished 17th in yards, 13th in yards, 17th in points, which isn't horrible. But it's the thing that's an issue is the defense. Like, their defensive line was supposed to be good. Dexter Lawrence, Brian Burns, Kayvon Thibodeau, Abdul Carter, like those are names right there. That's a good defensive line. But somehow they managed to finish 26th in points and 28th in yards. That should not be happening with a defensive front like that. Truth to be told, it is fair. Their back seven is non-existent. They don't have DBs. They don't have linebackers either. So that is a valid argument, which is exactly why it's bad. They don't have the majority of their defense. And on offense, there are a lot of questions to be answered. They hired Matt Nagy as their OC. Like, what are we deciding to do here? They have questions with John Harbaugh. Is he passed up? Is he washed up? Is the delegation coach the right approach to take when you're looking and considering everything? So there are a lot of questions that have to be answered with the New York Giants. And then we get to mid, and oh boy, I'm looking at a lot of these teams right now. You are calling my name. First team that I have to go with is Tampa Bay Buccaneers. First team in mid. They finished 8-9. Right, the definition of mid. Offense finished 18th in points, 21st in yards. Defense 20th in points, 19th in yards. That is just mid. Their quarterback Baker Mayfield, mid. Like, this team is very okay. They're not great at anything, and they're not like blowing your socks off. And then you consider how they ended the season. That disaster class that happened. You lose to you beat the Panthers, and then you watch they beat the Panthers, but then you watch the Falcons beat the Saints, and your playoff hopes slide right out of your fingers. You started 5-1. You were 6-2. And then you lost 3 straight. You lost 7 of your next 8 games. Like, what are we doing here? That's not good at all. So you have that. It was just a mid-season overall. And then I feel like you have to group them together. The Carolina Panthers. I just talked about them, that they won the division at 9-8 or 8-9. Bryce Young didn't play horribly, but he didn't play great either. This is a team that is interesting. They were 27th in both points and yards on offense, and they were mid. 15th in points, 16th in yards on defense. That is perfectly mid. You can't get any more mid than that. So on offense, you had Ted. Ted was nice. One rookie of the year, offensive rookie of the year, not bad. Bryce Young wasn't horrible, but it wasn't great either. There was just a lot of questions that had to be answered when it comes to that team. And then Dave Canales, not bad. Improved. They made the playoffs, which is a miracle. Honestly, a lot of people didn't expect it. A lot of people going into the season thought that it was going to be the Buccaneers to take the NFC South, as they had been doing the past couple seasons, and just continue rolling with it. I honestly thought that too going into the season, but the Panthers were able to turn it around. But I can't put them any higher than this. The entire NFC South just has a cap at mid, which is why the Falcons are joining them. All 3 NFC South teams go in mid, and then you have the Saints, and it's bad. And that just feels right to me. So let's look at the Falcons here. when we look at their stats right now, 14th in yards, mid. On offense, 15th on yards in defense, mid. Defense, not great. James Pierce Jr., no comment on your allegations and what is happening there. Not a good sign. Michael Penix, another knee injury. Okay, then. You have Kyle Pitts. You need to franchise tag him or do something intelligent, hopefully. You have Kirk O'Chains. What are you going to do with him? You're going to keep him? You're going to start him? You're going to let him go? Like, what are we doing here? You swapped out head coaches. You brought in Kevin Stefanski. Okay. That is a very mid hire. It's not blowing anybody's socks off. You have Bijan Robinson. Nice. I like him. He's very good. Very fun to watch. But what else are you going to give me? What else are you going to provide for me here? Other than that, it's a very, very middle of the pack thing, and very middle of the pack team overall. Like they have been ever since that Super Bowl heartbreak against the Patriots, 28-3. And then it's only right. The definition of mid for the past forever, ever since Mike Tomlin was the coach. All right. Definition of mid. Let's look at their past seasons. Last season, 10-7. Year before that, 10-7. 2023, 10-7. 2022, 9-8. 2021, 9-7-1. Like, you can't get any more mid than that. And then you look Offensive points, they ranked 15th. Defensive points, they ranked 17th. That is like mid. Then you on offense, let's just look at their offense. Aaron Rodgers, old and rickety, not prime Aaron Rodgers, which would have honestly would have probably boosted them up at some point. I don't know by how much, but the combination of Tomlin, who never has a losing season, and along with Aaron Rodgers, who was an MVP, that would have boosted them higher. But Aaron Rodgers is not that, has not been that for a long time. You have that. You have DK Metcalf, who I honestly thought I fell for the hype. I thought he was going to be a freak of nature superstar. I was I saw those pictures of him working out. He looked like an alien freak of nature when the Seahawks drafted him. I liked him. Turns out he's not all that. He's not wow. He's not going to blow your mind. He's not amazing. And then you have Roman Wilson, not great either. Offensive line, very mid. When you look at the defense, it's an aging defensive core. You have Jalen Ramsey. He's getting up there in age. TJ Watt is getting up there in age. Cam Hayward's getting up there in age. You had, honestly, some issues with that defense last season and the past couple seasons. There have been some rumors, some stories coming out about that and what they'll be able to do, what they have done. So they got Tomlin stepped down. Okay. You hired Mike McCarthy. That is, like the Falcons, the most mid hire imaginable. Like, Mike McCarthy isn't this ceiling raiser. He's not one of these young guru offensive minded head coaches that's just going to automatically boost your offense to new levels. It's just very meh, very mid. And then we're following that up with the Minnesota Vikings are going into mid. They finished 9-8 last season and were plagued by he who shall not be named at the quarterback position by 9. That caused their offense to be 26th in yards and 28th in points. That is horrible. That should not happen when you have Justin Jefferson on the field. That should not happen when Jordan Addison is your wide receiver too. Like, why? How? So you have that issue right there. KOC is a good coach. Very good coach. He can maximize players. And then you have Brian Flores on the defensive side of the ball. He did great. Vikings defense, top 7 in points and yards. Like, they were a good defense, but when you balance that out, it's very mid. They were plagued. I can't emphasize this enough. They were plagued by 9. He is a domestic terror for them. So you have that issue. And then I don't even know. Like, past years, they honestly would have been a good team. I would have put them a lot higher. But just 9 weighs them down so much that I can only this is the highest I can put them to any capacity. And then who else are we putting here? I have there's a couple teams that I'm thinking about here. The Colts are a very realistic possibility. On top of that, the Lions as well. I think I'll put the Colts putting the Colts in mid as well. The rationale behind this, I know they were top 10, top 9 in offense on both points and yards. Very nice. Jonathan Taylor, very good season. Very good start to the season, but he fell off. Daniel Jones, very good start to the season. And then he got hurt. Like, that was very nice. But you brought in Philip Rivers. Like, what are we doing here? Your defense, 21st in yards, 23rd in point, or 21st in points, 23rd in yards. Your net rating on yards was 18th. Like, that's very, very mid. I get that there are recipes for success, but when you balance out the offense and the defense, I can't say dominant one side, like a dominant one side that'll just elevate your team to new heights and just change absolutely everything for you. Because that's not exactly what that is and what that offense was for them, even with Daniel Jones and Jonathan Taylor. I mean, at the start of the season, maybe when they were the 1 seed, that was a very possible thing. But when we look at it overall, it's just hard to really put them any higher than mid at the end of the season in retrospect. And then I am going to come out with, who do I put next? There are I don't know what to do right now. But there are two teams that are speaking my name right now, and I think actually I rephrase that. There are three teams speaking my name right now. And wait a minute. Why do I still have the Commanders on the board? Hello? It's bad. It was very bad. Sorry, but that was very, very bad. They were horrible. I get Jaden Daniels was hurt, not exactly a great season, but it's bad when you net out at 27th in points and 29th in yards in your overall ranking on the season. That is very bad. I get players miss time. That's never fun. Oh well. But when you have a team like that the year before you made the NFC Championship game, you were good. You were very good. You were very nice. You were very fun to watch. Like, but we can't have you being higher than it's bad when you net out 27th and 29th. There's just no getting around that in any way, shape, or form. And then, what do I do next? I'm looking here, and there's one team that this is going to get me crucified, but they didn't exactly live up to the hype this year. That is the Kansas City Chiefs. They're going in mid. They are mid. Like, let's be frank here. Mahomes tore his ACL. Travis Kelce is on the decline. Rashee Rice is not a world changer. Neither is Xavier Worthy. Their defense, Chris Jones is getting old. They keep cycling out players. I don't care that their defense was top 10 in points and yards. Their offense was buns. Very bad. Like, it was not fun to watch at all. Like, you finished 21st in yards, or 21st in points, 20th in yards on offense. They were mid, like MID, capital mid, the whole season. And next year, I get you cleared up a lot of space with that Mahomes restructuring. You have the potential to maybe bring in some free agents. I talked about Kyle Pitts when I was looking at franchise tagging. I was talking about Brees Hall or Kenneth Walker when I was talking about franchise tagging. Bring in somebody on the offensive side of the ball. Give Mahomes some sort of help because he desperately needs it. There's no getting around it to any capacity. Mahomes needs help. And until that changes, the Chiefs are going to stay in mid. I don't care what anyone says. So I think that is where we cap out mid. For now, we're going to go to one dominant side of the ball. I'm going to start that off with the Lions. For me, the Lions are clearly one dominant side of the ball. They were top 5 in both points and yards on offense. Like, their offense is dominant. There's no getting around it. Their defense, on the other hand, struggles. Always with injuries somehow. Last year, it was the 1 seed despite a billion injuries on defense. This year, they missed the playoffs with a billion injuries on defense. But yet, somehow, despite finishing 22nd in points and 18th in yards, they netted out at 8th in both points and yards on overall ranking. That is thanks to the offense. That is the definition of one dominant side of the ball. Like, offensive season rating was a 5.2. Average is 0. That is spectacular. That is very, very good on the overall. And then there is clearly the next team that really speaks to me is the most clear one dominant side, and that is the Houston Texans. They are the opposite of the Lions in that their defense is out of this world. They were first in yards, second in points. Like, they were a nightmare to play against. Best, honestly, top 2 defense in the league. Incredible. D'Amico Ryan has that defense playing lights out. Will Anderson Jr., Daniil Hunter, Derek Stingley. That entire defense is a terror to play against. And they were so good. They carried their offense, which ranked 13th in points and 18th in yards, to net out at 6th overall in points and yards on the season. Like, they carried themselves out of a massive hole to start the season. Like, when you look at the record, they started 1-3 to start the season. They rattled, and then to cap off the season, they rattled off wins against the Jaguars, the Titans, the Bills, the Colts, the Chiefs, the Cardinals, the Raiders, the Chargers, and the Colts again. Like, they rattled off, I think, like 8 straight wins there and made the playoffs. That they were carried by their defense. It's not funny. It was insane. And there's no getting around it. They're dominant on one side of the football. Continuing with Defensive. No. Nah. Who cares about defense? It's the modern NFL. We want offense. And that is exactly why we're putting the Dallas Cowboys next, baby. America's team, even though I don't like them, along with the rest of the country. America's team, Dallas Cowboys, were second in yards on offense. They were seventh in points. They carried a defense that was 32nd in points and 30th in yards. Like, what are we talking about here? It was clear from day one that there was one dominant side of the ball, and that was the offense. You had Dak Prescott, CeeDee Lamb, and George Pickens, who a lot of people are saying are better than CD, even though they do have to franchise tag George Pickens. Let's make that clear. They should bring him back no matter what. I don't care if they don't. They're dumb. Jerry, you are even more senile than I thought. But they have to bring him back ASAP because that defense is horrendous. You need to bring in other players on the defensive side of the ball. If you can bring in Trey Hendrickson, nice. That way you can say you turn Micah Parsons into Quinnen Williams. You can't say Logan Wilson anymore because they just released him. A couple picks and Trey Hendrickson, not bad. But the offense clearly carries. Then, this is tough. See, I want to put the Bengals in one dominant side, but Joe Burrow did not play the majority of the season. They had Jake Browning starting, which was bad. Very bad. Didn't they have Joe Flacco starting at 1.2 this season? It was bad. Yeah. Never mind. Now I'm saying that. I keep saying it's bad, so that's exactly where they're going. They're going in, it's bad. The reason I thought about putting them in one dominant side was you have Joe Burrow, you have Jamar Chase, you have T. Higgins. That has been proven to be the elite trio passing offense in the NFL over the past couple seasons when all three are healthy. But that is the caveat. When all three of them are healthy. Joe Burrow was not healthy this season. And then you have a defense. Honestly, just as bad as the Cowboys defense. They were 30th in points and 31st in yards. Like, we can't even say I want to compare them to the Cowboys, but you can't because they were bad. They were mid on offense at best. Like, it's bad. I talked about this on Coaching Carousel episode 1. I don't know how Zach Taylor still has a job. Like, let's be real here. What does he do? What does he do in the offseason? How is this team unprepared at the start of every year? Is he like picking flowers during training camp? Like, what is going on here? So, I have so many questions about that. And I was seriously thinking about putting them in one dominant side, but when you have missing players like that, you can't do it. There's a polar bear in Arlington here. I still haven't ranked the Cleveland Browns. They're just sitting at the top of the board right now, and I don't know where to put them. I was thinking about putting them on one dominant side because that defense is amazing. It's very nice. Somehow every year they manage to piece together a good defense. But that offense is bad. It scares me. That offense, I don't like that offense. But I don't want to put them in dumpster fire either, though. I think I got to put them in. It's bad because the defense is amazing. Myles Garrett is an alien. He's a freak of nature. I don't know what they were feeding him as a kid. He's an alien. Broke the sack record. DPO unanimous DPOY. Fully deserved that. Carson Schwessinger, offensive or defensive rookie of the year. He's a great player too. Love him. I called my shot on him early on in the season. He was going to be good, but you don't have a quarterback. You have Pro Bowler Shador Sanders. You have the midget of Dylan Gabriel. You have nasty man Deshaun Watson. Like, what are we doing here? What are we doing in the quarterback room? Is Todd Monken going to be able to bring out something, anything from this team, anything from that quarterback room? David Njoku, I believe, is no longer going to be with the team. So there is your one of your tight ends. You have Harold Fannin. Nice. Quinshaw Judkins. He got hurt. He also was facing some charges at the start of the season. Not great. Like, what are we talking about here with the Browns? Sure, the defense finished fourth in yards. Nice. Offense. 31st in points, 30th in yards. That's not good. That's horrible. You netted out at 28th in points and 21st in yards. It's bad. It's very bad. But I can't put you in dumpster fire because you still have talent somehow. The defense is full of talent. So I can't put you in dumpster fire. But it's very, very close. Oh, how you frustrate me and will continue to frustrate me for the rest of your existence with your 1 billion quarterbacks. And now, this is where things get tricky. This is where things get very, very tricky. Denver Broncos. This is where we have questions. Denver Broncos. Are you one dominant side or are you a good team? You were top 3 in points and yards on defense, but your offense was mid. What are we doing here? Are we changing something? Are we gonna do something? I think, like what I just said, top 3 defense in points and yards, offense 14th in points, 10th in yards. Sounds a lot like one dominant side to me. Bobert Nix is not exactly a world beater on the offensive side of the ball. You're kind of carried here by that. I think that the defense was the main reason that you were able to make it to the AFC Championship. Carried you throughout the season. You have all pros all over the place. You have Nick Benito. You have Pat Surtain. You have dogs everywhere on offense. Not really. Troy Franklin. Love him. Went to middle school with him. Same area, Oregon product, Bay Area product. He doesn't exactly move mountains. Like, it's not awe inspiring for the Broncos. And then 49ers, one dominant side. And then dominant side is Kyle Shanahan and his black magic somehow. I don't know how he does it. Like how he pulls out top 10 offensive. They were offenses out of the blue. They were top 10 in points, and seventh in yards. Like they started Mac Jones for a good chunk of the season. Christian McCaffrey was their leading rusher and receiver this year. Like what how the fact that Kyle Shanahan does all this does not have a coach of the year, I believe, either, which is blasphemy. He is the one dominant side. Kyle Shanahan. There's no getting around it. He brought them to second in the division. They finished 12-5 after they lost Nick Bosa and Fred Warner for the season. After they lost Brock Purdy for the majority of the season. George Kittle got hurt in the playoffs. Brandon Ayuk fell off the face of the earth. They did not have a wide receiver one. If you want to call Ricky Pearsall a wide receiver one, be my guest. I'm not exactly inspired by Ricky Pearsall in any way, shape, or form. Cool story. You got shot and managed to come back the same season. That's good on you. But neither side exactly inspires confidence. I can't put it in mid, though, because Kyle Shanahan just is too good of a quarterback. So I think that clears it out for one dominant side. Now, where do we go? Right now, putting the Jaguars in good team. Very good team. Very nice team. Finished 13-4 this season. Nice. Netted out at fourth in points, ninth in yards. Very good team. Trevor Lawrence. Nice. Got himself on the MVP ballot. Very nice. Travis Hunter got hurt, which sucks. Brian Thomas was seeing ghosts, which sucks. Defense. Not bad, honestly. Very nice defense. Liam Cohen. Nice. They were a very good team. After the Colts were the number one seed for a while, the Jaguars, they stayed hot on their tails, honestly. They were consistent and they rattled off the season with 7 straight wins against the Chargers, the Cardinals, the Titans, the Colts, the Jets, the Broncos, the Colts, and the Titans. 8 wins, actually. Who the heck am I? They rattled off 8 straight wins. So, very nice. The one caveat, you going to be able to do this in the playoffs? Like, you lost to Josh Allen again? Can we do something here? But overall, very good team. Kudos to the Jacksonville Jaguars. That I always thought were going to be eternally not good and eternally meh. But very good team. Improved. Trevor Lawrence. Nice. Kind of looking like the Peyton Manning clone a lot of people thought he would be. Who else are we going to put here? Oh, there are a couple of teams. One of them is the Packers. Very good team. Good team, but not great. There's an argument for mid. I'll put that out now. They finished 13th in total points, 13th in yards, overall rankings there, 13th and 10th. Not exactly awe-inspiring, but they were a good team. They managed to make it work with Malik Willis when Jordan Love got hurt. Jordan Love played very well this season. Defense played pretty well this season. Not complaining about that. But They did lose to the Bears in the playoffs. There are some caveats there with things they have to improve. So I'm gonna keep them at good team. I can't move them any higher than that. I don't have much to say about the Packers overall. So they just have to build off of this season. I want to put the Ravens a good team. I really do. But I can't. Can I? Because they are a good team. The numbers say the opposite. I'll read you guys the numbers right now. I have it pulled up. They finished overall ranked points 15th, yards 22nd. The numbers suggest mid. However, I can't bring myself to put them in mid. The talent is insane. No getting around that. No denying that. Lamar Jackson, Kyle Hamilton, and everybody in between. They are a good team. Uh, they're a good team. I can't say otherwise. They're a good team. They're a great team. Love them. They just weren't healthy this season. Lamar Jackson missed time. We saw what it looked like when he didn't have all of his athleticism at his disposal, which made him look vulnerable at times. The defense struggled as well. So there is that. But they weren't horrible. Could have been a lot worse. They managed to turn around. They were in contention for the AFC North until the final game of the season against the Steelers. They ultimately lost that game. But they did bring in Jesse Minter as their head coach. I talked about that. That was my favorite coaching hire of the cycle. I think that he can revitalize and completely change that unit, make them great. And honestly, I said that the Ravens are going to be the Super Bowl favorites next year, and they are going to win the Super Bowl next year. So I will stand by that. And that is why the Ravens deserve to be in good team, not in Super Bowl caliber, because again, this year they did struggle. But next year, I will put them in Super Bowl caliber. They're great. And good team. Next one, we got the Eagles. I don't care. Eagles fan base, even if you come at me, I will not bat an eye. I don't care what you say or what you do. Offense. Saquon Barkley. Madden Chris is real. Now you know. A.J. Brown. You are a diva. Relax. You're not amazing. You're not a world changer. You're not going to change our lives and make us think you are the Messiah. Jalen Hurts. Nah. Defense. Very nice. Cooper DeJean. White boy. Love him. Reed Blankenship. White boy. Love him. Jalen Carter. As long as you don't spit on people on the first defensive snap of the game. Nice. Very good defense. Very good players there. You finished fifth in yards or fifth in points. Very nice. You carried a mediocre offense to net out at 10th in points. Nice. Honestly, they could be in one dominant side. Actually, now that I'm kind of talking myself into that, now that I'm talking about all of this, here you go. You go down in tier to one dominant side. That's where you belong. Now I'm talking myself into this. Defense, you were top 5 in points. Offense, you were 19th in points. You netted out at 17th in yards. When you net out to that in yards, but you ranked top 5 in points on defense, sounds like one side of the ball is dragging the weight. It was talked about all year that the Eagles' offense was not producing. They were in this slump that they couldn't produce when it mattered most, and that is what happened. So, Eagles, you go down to one dominant side. And now I'm here. I have 6 teams left. Something for me, two teams here clearly belong in good team. The first of them is the Chargers. Good team. Justin Herbert, nice quarterback. Offensive line, bad. Very bad. Austin Deculus, you are a domestic terrorist. You are horrible. I am surprised that Justin Herbert survived. Mekhi Becton went back to his New York Jet ways. Quentin Johnston, after having a good start to the season, kind of fell off the face of the earth and went into irrelevancy. Lad McConkey was meh. So, very mid. Jesse Minter on the defense, though. Nice. Jesse Minter, there's a reason you are now the Ravens head coach. Top 9 defense in yards and points. Netted the team out. They finished 11-6. They were the 7 seed. Very nice. Very quality team. Very good team, but not exactly mind-boggling. So, you stay in good team. And you will be joined by MVP Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills. You finished 12-5. Not bad. Offense. Josh Allen, you are Superman incarnate. You are from Krypton. You carried this offense to fourth in both points and yards. Wow. When you have Keon Coleman and Khalil Shakir and nobody else as receivers, James Cook. Nice. I almost said Dalvin Cook, who was a dog back in the day, but not anymore. His brother. James Cook. Nice. Defense. Not horrible. Not horrible at all. 12 points. 7th in yards. Not bad. You have a good team. Very good team. Ownership and general manager, front office, not so much. Said a couple things you shouldn't have said. Did a couple things you probably shouldn't have. Shouldn't have fired Sean McDermott. Shouldn't have done an internal hire. Shouldn't have talked about Keon Coleman while he's still on the roster. So you got some issues there that probably should be worked out at some point. But very good team. I like them overall. Nice. And now we have 3 teams left. We have the Chicago Bears. We have the Rams. We have the Patriots. And we have the Seahawks. And there is one team that is a good team. That is the Bears. Nice. Offense, Ben Johnson. You are a genius. Caleb Williams. Still don't have 4,000 yards. Bears still don't have a 1,000-yard passer in their franchise history. But you'll get there. Your offense. Very nice. 9th in points. 6th in yards. Nice. Defense. Okay. You, despite being 9th in points and 6th in yards on offense, you netted out to a perfect 15 in both yards and points on your overall ranking. Very meh. Caleb Williams was Houdini in late games. So you have that. And then, wasn't bad. Honestly, I think that they will run the NFC North for the foreseeable future, unless the Lions decide to pick it up on the defensive side of football, or if the Packers and manage to do something there, or if the Vikings get rid of that, I call it Austin Ridiculous, a domestic terrorist. They get rid of 9. That is a real domestic terrorist right there. They free Justin Jefferson's from the shackle of that quarterback. Now we get in Super Bowl caliber. That is obvious. First of all, put the Patriots here. Obvious. They were in the Super Bowl. They were top 3 on offense in both points and yards. They finished 4th in points and 8th in yards on defense. They were amazing throughout the season. But there's the caveat that your schedule was as soft as Charmin. Strength of schedule was a 3.4. You were playing a last place schedule last year or this season. That helped you a lot. Drake May was under fire against one dominant side teams like the like the Texans defense, the Broncos defense. You had some issues there that needed to be addressed, and I don't know how well they will be addressed. You have to address your receiver room. As well. So there are some things that have to be changed. But overall, very good team. Definitely deserving a Super Bowl caliber. After that, you have the Rams. They are 100% Super Bowl caliber. They were, I said they were Super Bowl pick, either them or the Seahawks. As it turned out, I was right. Matthew Stafford, MVP. They were first on offense, first in points, first in yards, netted out overall ranking, second in points, third in yards. They were disgusting. Matthew Stafford, MVP. Puka Nacua was absolutely disgusting all season. Sean McVay is a genius. Their defensive line is absolutely disgusting as well. Love watching them and everything that they do. But they are not the Seattle Seahawks. That is the number 1 team, Super Bowl caliber, for a reason. They were dominant throughout the entire season. Kenneth Walker is good. Sam Darnold proved all the haters wrong. Went 14-3 again. Even though they did not finish first in offense, they did overall finish first in points, 4th in yards. Defense was elite. They finished first in points. Love that defense. Called themselves the Dark Side. Very nice name. Second coming of the Legion of Boom. And Mike McDonald is come out with a new archetype, the defensive guru coach. Very, very good. So that is the tier list. Super Bowl caliber, we got 3 teams only. The Patriots, the Rams, the Seahawks. Good teams. There are a couple good teams. You got the Jags, the Packers, the Ravens, the Chargers, the Bills, and the Bears. One dominant side of the ball. You got Lions offense, Texans defense, Cowboys offense, Broncos defense, the 49ers, Kyle Shanahan, and the Eagles defense. And then mid, you got most of the NFC South with the Bucks, the Panthers, the Falcons. You got the definition of mid with the Steelers. You got the Vikings, the Colts, and the Kansas City Chiefs. And then it's bad. You got Cardinals, Saints, Giants, Commanders, Bengals, and Browns. And then dumpster fires. You got dumpster fires. So you got the Dolphins, the Raiders, the Jets, and the Tennessee Titans. So that was putting all 32 NFL teams into a tier list, ranking all of them. That was fun, but now it's time to transition over to game time.